Isn't this a sports show?
Papa, tell me about the radio days. Oh, well, there were many struggles and many difficulties.
Almost entirely.
I remember hearing this one radio show where they did nothing but visual gags on an audio medium. The host did a whole segment with his nose taped to his forehead.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Papa, whatever happened to him? Son, I don't think you're ready for that story. All I can tell you is don't do cocaine. Too late, Papa! I learned it from watching you!
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
You did this to me, Papa! I just wanted to be like you, Papa!
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
An enormous night in Almost Entirely Sports history is about to begin. If you watch the show on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube channel, you may see that I have donned a cape for tonight's festivities. It's a Phoenix Suns flag that I will wear around my shoulders until I get tired of wearing it around my shoulders, and then I'll probably stop wearing it around my shoulders. The Suns and Nuggets are about to tip off right now on TNT. I am, of course, a Phoenix Suns fan. Rudy Salazar, other side of the console here, a Denver Nuggets fan. Beards McFly on the other side of the glass, rooting for Brad Stevens to hire a good replacement.
Yeah, it's good to see that they finally decided to start the process. You know,
Of hiring a good coach for the first time.
He's only been in charge for a week. Just start off with the vacation, I guess.
Listen, I'm not gonna hate that. I'm not gonna hate on that at all.
Listen, he's not Phil Jackson.
Nuggets are up 2-0,
You don't know
2-2.
that.
Jay Crowder mid-range.
I'm trying to watch, but Wi-Fi is a problem here.
You're gonna have to. So we're synced up. That might not have been Jay
Yeah.
Crowder. This TV has 19 pixels. You're gonna have to just sort of watch at an angle and do the show from an angle today. And
Yeah,
I
that's
think
probably true.
I think it'll probably be okay. Michael
It'll
Porter
be fine.
Jr. pulled up from. Oh, look at his back.
Oh, he's playing.
We will not do play-by-play of this game, Booker 3. We will not do play-by-play of this game for the entire night. Nuggets bringing up the court. Oh, Faku's got the ball. We will not do play-by-play of
Watch
this
it
game the
now.
entire night, but there will be several times this evening when we are going to have Michael Porter Jr. 3, Clank.
Oof, it's gonna be a rough night for him.
Sure
it
is,
looks like.
dude. It's 2-2. A few shots have been taken. Not that many have been made. We will talk about many things other than this game tonight, but if you're along for the ride for the show tonight, it's going to include some madness as game 2 of this series. Jay Crowder from 3 buckets.
Is it
5-2.
Just in general, not even about trying to watch the game. Just to I just want functional Wi-Fi. It's so much to ask.
Chaotic Warrior in the Twitch was asking what I was wearing, and S. Wallaby said it was a Suns flag. Ryan, I just know that I don't know how to pronounce his username. Ryan said it's not a flag, it's a cape. He said it looked like I was wearing a boxer's robe with a hood for a second.
Ooh, it's pretty good.
Whenever I pull it up like this, Beard said it looked like an old Ukrainian grandma, and that's also true. I think the way that this is draped around my shoulders tonight will do a pretty good job of visually indicating how things are going. Every time Michael Porter Jr. bricks a shot, which we're at least three now.
Yeah, over 3 in 2 minutes. It's not a great start.
I'm just going to start flossing with the flag. I'll stand up on the desk and just start doing all sorts of various dances.
He's also guarding DeAndre Ayton, which seems less tonight. Oh, you know what? That's a win.
Yeah, we definitely can't do play-by-play, especially without actually saying what's going on. And I think legally we can't do play-by-play.
Yeah.
No, we can't.
I mean, it's just sad.
It's gonna be a unique show tonight. God, Devin Booker is so good at basketball.
It's sad that the refs don't want to make this a fair game for Denver. It's just sad. It's the continued Jokic wins the MVP. That's we had now everybody's mad, so we have to hurt.
You have
the
to knock
Nuggets.
him down a peg.
Yep. It's sad.
We will do some updates, some wellness checks on Rudy and I for this game as the show goes on.
I think you'll be pretty fine, unfortunately.
my concern, here's the issue, is that the better the Suns look, the worse it's going to be for the show, because I'm way more likely to get distracted by just going, Jay Crowder, bang! And then I am to really get involved with the game if it's going, Jay Crowder, nope, back down to 8 and back up, pull up over, Jokic. Missed it.
Play-by-play. Stop doing it.
Maybe that's going to happen. Maybe it won't. Maybe Facu just bricked a 3. So if it goes well, it's going to be hard for me to pry myself away from the screen. If it starts going poorly at any point, I'm going to get very locked in whatever else we're doing.
Just FYI, Beards, we may or may not be on Facebook. Can't tell.
The Twitch just really stutter-stepped there. It's going to be a toughie.
No, we're still there.
Okay.
Well,
We're there. I'm looking at it.
I've got 4 seconds of stream.
We're good.
I mean, I'm on the Facebook page,
So
Beards.
am I.
Rudy, were you so distracted by your bad internet that you didn't put out the tweet for the show tonight?
No, I did.
Oh, boy. Did you tag me in it?
Yeah. No, I didn't. I did have you tagged, but it took it away.
It says tonight on 8 yes on 810, and not that Rudy go to war as Beards McFly watches Suns Nuggets.
The original tweet, I 100% had your handle in it.
Do you want to redo it, or do you want me to just retweet the one that's sort of confusing? Leave the follow-up tweet and redo the first tweet. I'm going to retweet the second one. This is just, listen, folks, I know sometimes this show is sort of like we walk that line of like, what are we doing? What are we actually bleeping up? And then what is accidentally? What's a part of that?
But literally nothing on my computer's working.
Awesome.
Just like
good.
the Nuggets.
Tonight's show is just we're going to have to figure out, boy, Michael Porter, that's 4, baby. That is 4. Someone make that man stop shooting the basketball. That was ugly. Maybe. Not that it was play-by-play or anything, because that would be illegal.
Yeah, Beards, we're not on Facebook, buddy. There's a video that's 4 seconds long. We were live 8 minutes ago. It says Sports Radio 810 was live 8 minutes ago.
That's not even our fault.
I mean, I'm staring at the video and it's still live.
Okay, I don't. You guys can.
Oh, I see what happened. There are 2 videos. We went off. If you go look, there's a 5-second video from 9 minutes ago, but then it just rebooted up a second video. So we are live, yes. But there's also a link to a 5-second video.
God blesses everyone.
Yeah. So it's a good thing I am sitting down in that tweet because the other tweet goes to the 5-second video.
Well, yeah,
which is not great.
Not ideal, no. We'll see. Here's the plan for tonight's show, by the way.
That would be
We'll work around the game and whatever happens will happen and we'll have fun with it or one of us will have fun with it. We'll see how it goes. There's also some stuff from the NFL world today that I think is bonkers. We also have 2 great guests tonight. One is a relative regular. We'll talk to Dan Lust, sports law expert, who will help us understand some of the name, image, likeness stuff that was happening in the Senate today. There are some really interesting questions posed, some honestly funny moments as Mark Emmert was being absolutely throttled as he sat 4 feet behind a couple of senators who decided to light his eyebrows on fire. It might be the best bipartisan show of unity I've ever seen in the history of American politics, because I saw a bunch of people who I maybe don't care for and some people that I do care for. Who's who? I'll never tell. All basically being like, yo, the NCAA, you guys have really bleeped this up. You're going to need somebody to be an adult in the room and come in and fix some of this stuff, huh? There's just that for both sides of the aisle. All excellent, all fantastic. So we'll talk to Daniel Lust about all of that. And maybe we'll do a little Deshaun Watson check-in if he's got anything new there. There was some Deshaun Watson sort of news today that he'd like to go to the Broncos. I think it was Ian Rappaport who said that he doesn't think that Watson is saying he will only go to the Broncos. Mm-hmm. Also, right now, the Denver Broncos going to trade for Deshaun Watson because of the aforementioned stuff that we'll talk to Dan about. I don't know. I don't know, man. I do think eventually we'll see what Dan thinks, but I think eventually Watson probably settles and then gets traded and then pretends this didn't happen, which is gross.
Seems likely.
But also I think the most likely outcome.
Yeah.
And at 10 tonight, it's a conversation that I've already had, so it's in the can. I can tell you that it's excellent. I got a chance to talk to Tony Sands, and if you know that name right away, maybe you're a KU fan that's a little bit older than we are here in this crew, because in the early 90s, Tony Sands was a running back for KU football. And just hear me say this, okay? In a game against Missouri, 1991, a legitimate rival, by the way, and as he points out whenever I talk to him, they played defense in the Big 8. The Big 12, not so much. In the Big 8, though, they played defense. Against Mizzou, not the Citadel, not the little peewee team, against Missouri, he ran the ball for 396 yards on 58 carries. I can tell you again, because I already this is in the can, and we'll play it for you at 10. He recounted that game with an amount of detail and for a length of time that was genuinely stunning to me. And he goes on and he talks about it solo for a while. And I promise you, I did not get bored for an iota of a second of his answer, because it is such a good story, so well told about such a bonkers thing. Like, I know that it's something that he gets asked about all the time, but do you know how many times in my life I'm going to get to have a conversation, or how many people I'm going to talk to over the course of my life that were able to run the football nearly 60 times in a Division I college football game? My guess is that it's only going to be one guy, because it's this guy, and no one else has broken that record. The 396 yards in a game was a record at the time, and it's since been. I think LaDainian Tomlinson almost broke it, and like Derrick Henry, a couple of truly excellent collegiate backs. Rudy, can you look and see that for most yards rushing in a D1 football game? He is among some incredible talent around him. Is also like he's either like 5'6" or 5'8", doing it at a size, at that position, taking that punishment that you just don't ever see. He's also written a book that I'll tell you, it's called I Was Before My Time, and I'll plug it at the front end here now, because he gave us a lot of time to talk about all these things, and I just really enjoyed talking to him. I'll tell you also ahead of time, I'm hoping that we get to talk to him again sometime before too long, because he's excellent. Did you find the record books there?
I honestly don't know why I looked it up, because I forgot
about it. Is it LaDainian and Adrian
I don't know
Peterson?
who it is. I do know who it is. Most rushing yards in a game.
Did Chris Johnson do it? It's one of those. Is it older than those guys?
Nope. It happened in the last decade.
Is it LaDainian Tomlinson in third place?
No.
Oh, really? Who's in third place?
Melvin Gordon.
Okay.
408 yards versus Nebraska. LaDainian Tomlinson.
So where's Tony? Is he 4 or 5 now?
Tony is fifth now, yes. 396 yards versus Missouri on November 23rd, 1990. He was fourth, and then this previous season he got bumped down to 5 because Jarrett Patterson of Buffalo ran for 409 yards versus Kent State.
Oh.
So that obviously moves everybody down a spot.
Sure.
So LaDainian was 3, Tony Sands was 4. Number 1, though.
Who's number 2? Is it the Buffalo guy you just said?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 2 is Jarrett Patterson from Buffalo. Number 1, though, and I watched this game, a freshman by the name of Samaje Perine for Oklahoma ran for 427 yards against Kansas.
That makes sense. I had forgotten about that completely.
Because this was the year. So Melvin Gordon in 2014 set the record with 408 yards, breaking LaDainian Tomlinson's record. And then the next week, Samaje Perine ran for 427, breaking Melvin Gordon's record.
Crazy. Anyway, so at the time, Tony Sands had the record there, and he also ended up getting into a lot of conversations about mental health. He became a trainer for a bunch of athletes that you certainly know, from Calvin Ridley and to Lamar Jackson to Michael Irvin. And also a lot of his book is about life after football and struggling with that and everything. So we'll talk to him about all those things at 10. We'll talk to Dan Lust here at 9. Out of the gate, though, I got to talk about some of the stuff that happened today in basically various press conferences. So, Montez Sweat of the Washington football team.
Good name, by the way, for a football player.
Great name. Bad observations.
Mississippi State.
He Mississippi'd this answer.
Yeah.
So he
was sweat through this answer?
He's sweating now.
So he was asked by the media today about the Washington football team bringing in doctors and vaccine experts to talk to the team about the COVID vaccine, and to try to answer some questions to limit the hesitation, try to help people that have questions about the vaccine to encourage them to get it, or at least be able to answer their questions, right? All of that I think is great.
Smart idea. Great job by the Washington football team, too.
Absolutely.
That's very smart, forward thinking.
Andy Reid, by the way, said that the Chiefs are among the top in the league in terms of percentage of players that are vaccinated. No specific numbers, but near the top of the league. And Montez Sweat, there's some wiggle room in some of this stuff. We'll get to a few of those things momentarily. This isn't it, though. Montez Sweat on the team bringing in vaccine experts to speak to players. Quote, "I'm not a fan of it at all. I won't get vaccinated until I get more facts." On why he's hesitant, I haven't caught COVID yet, so I don't see me treating COVID until I actually get COVID. Just a few real quick things on this one, okay? Couple real quick ones. One, if you say, I won't get vaccinated until I know more facts, whenever vaccine experts come to answer your question, give you more facts, and you say you're not a fan of that, there is a logical issue there, Mr. Sweat.
Yeah.
Secondarily, you know what? I'm gonna do what I did on Twitter. I'm gonna take a deep breath on the second part of this. First part of that is just the logic simply doesn't hold. There's no critical thinking there. It makes him look silly, and I don't know anything about Montez Sweat outside of that he's good at football, played at Mississippi State, and said some dumb stuff today.
Plays for the Washington football team, too.
Know that also. Defensive end, pass rusher.
He was drafted in the NFL draft. What round? Don't remember, but
I know a few things about Montez Sweat.
He was drafted.
I don't know about the way that he thinks about things, but I do want to. He says, I haven't caught COVID yet, so I don't see me treating COVID until I actually get COVID. Here's the deep breath. Maybe there's a learning experience here. Maybe this could actually be helpful for some people. Vaccines are preventative, not treatment. The whole point of a vaccine is that you expose your body to either the thing or a lot of these COVID vaccines, mRNA, which is super interesting, and I am deeply unable to explain in good details. But vaccines are to take so you don't get the thing.
Yeah.
You don't get the polio vaccine after you get polio. You get the polio vaccine so you don't get polio.
Exactly.
I don't know if Montez Sweat understands that. Maybe he does now. Maybe he didn't today. It sounds like he didn't, just based off of just taking his comments at face value, which would be a great question to ask to one of the experts that come in that you don't want to be in, even though you want more facts. So that happened. That was deeply frustrating today. Sam Darnold, new quarterback for the Panthers, says, he was asked if he's gotten the vaccine yet. He said, still got to think about all those certain things that go into it. It's everyone's choice whether they want to get vaccinated or not. So that's really all I got on it. I don't want to get too into detail, but I haven't been vaccinated yet. So there's a ton of different things that go into it. I'm going to evaluate that on my own and make the best decision that I feel is best for myself. If you just take that as sort of word salad, it sounds relatively fine. The question that I would ask is, what are the different things that go into it? What are you still waiting to get? What information are you still looking for? Because I don't think that he would possibly have an answer to that, because I don't really think there are answers to that on the whole. Maybe individual. I had somebody tweet me who was like, I'm not going to get it until I get to a point with my job, so if I end up having to take a couple days off, it doesn't hurt me. That is a personal, super reasonable reason to be like, I'm going to get it. I'm going to try to do it at the most convenient time in case I have side effects. I have no vitriol for that person at all. For Sam Darnold, I'm just kind of rolling my eyes a little bit because it sounds like Josh Allen's answer, which is, I'm waiting for more information when I make that decision for myself. Because you go to Montez Sweat, who says, I'm waiting for more information, but don't have doctors talk to me.
Just don't give me that information.
It would be like if I was eating a bag of gummy worms every single day, which, believe it or not, I'm not actually doing. And I kept saying, I'm trying to figure out if this is good for me or not. I'm just going to make my own decision, and all I'm doing is emailing people at Haribo saying, hey, how many of these, can I eat all of your sugary goodness? Yeah. And they're like, well, you should definitely keep buying it. And then my family's like, please, we've booked 3 dietitians to talk to you. Please stop eating nothing but gummy worms all the time. But I said, I want to make the decision on my own. I am bypassing the actual authority there for no real logical reason. That kind of stuff frustrates me. Matt Rule said, Beards, can we push past the end of the hour by a few minutes? Can we get a couple minutes on the end there? We can skip Sports Center and all that. Matt Rule, head coach of the Panthers, said, it's fair to say I don't tell anyone what to do.
Well,
It's their personal decision. As with any topic in life, I always say do your research, but do it in the right sources. Talk to doctors. Talk to your doctors. Talk to our doctors. Matt Rule's job is to tell people what to do. My high school football coach told me how much water to drink. That was him telling me what to do. That's an example of a coach telling people what to do. But also, you have the dietitians, and you have the people in the front office, and you have clauses in your contract, and we're going to get more into like the medical things on this in a second, but that's kind of nonsense. And then Danny Cannell, media dude, who I think at one point said concussions make you tougher. I'm not sure. Will you Google that also, please, Rudy? Just Google Danny Cannell concussions.
He's had 12 of them.
He tweeted, that's not true. We don't know if it's to be true.
That's not true, yeah. I mean, we don't,
Danny Cannell tweeted, "Dear sports media, please stop asking athletes if they've got vaccinated or not. It's none of your business." And I found that to be a really interesting, pretty dumb thing to say. Because I would ask just people in my life if they've gotten like people that I care about. I was like, hey, did you get, I'm not going to scream at you or whatever. Did you get your vaccine yet? Or when have you done it? Or when did you do it? Or you getting both? Or which kind did you get? Whatever. It's just a thing that I will talk to people about because I want people to have the vaccine and to not get COVID and to be healthy. That does not make me feel like a monster. I do not think that I am oppressive when I do that to people that I care about. But also, in the context of like a sports media podium interview, it is definitely a factor in the sport right now. On one thing, it's an enormous public topic, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've been living for the last 18 months or whatever, going through a pandemic that has touched every part of everyone's life. I mean, it's been unavoidable in the biggest sense that we've seen in like modern world history. It's been a crazy thing that we've all been soaked by. Weird verb. And also, if you followed football last year, you'll remember the thing like the COVID-19 reserve list. Anthony Sherman mysteriously disappearing for like 4 weeks. The Broncos played a game without a quarterback because of various COVID issues. Some people got it and couldn't play. Some people were close contacts and couldn't play. And it is deeply entrenched into all of sports right now. Working through that, getting past that, is incredibly important here. And also, asking about it is totally within the realm of reasonable things that we talk about in media all the time. Let's use Trey Smith as an example. Newly beloved 6th-round draft pick the Chiefs get at a guard out of Tennessee. Everyone thinks he was a day 2 talent at least. Second or third round pick on all likelihood. He drops to the 6th round because he had blood clot issues 2 years ago. Brett Veach said the team has been working with Trey Smith to on his mix of medications to try to get his blood right. These medical issues are Sam Darnold missed 3 games last year with mono. And we asked him about it at every turn. It was a huge story. We got an incredible graphic, an incredible meme out of it. Rudy's applauding, and I just look up, and I see the Suns are up by 4. Whatever floats your boat, Rudy.
Will Barton came into the game, hit a 3. He's back.
He also had a goaltending thing that didn't get called.
It didn't get called, so it didn't happen.
We were in Trey Smith's bloodstream through the pre-draft process. It would be cool if none of us had to talk about a pandemic or a super contagious and often deadly virus that's across the world right now. I would rather move past that. Talking about that on a regular basis gives me no joy. But if it's going to be a deeply entrenched part of sport, then of course we have to talk about it. I think there's also more to it. People say, but if you're going to talk about it and people are going to say that maybe they haven't gotten the shot yet, you're just all going to freak out. Well, yeah, man, because if you believe in the science of this and you believe in the power of vaccines that we've seen over modern history, you want people to get it on behalf of the greater good. Mm-hmm. If I was eating gummy worms and you said, Josh, you got to start eating vegetables or something, and I said, no, but I want to eat gummy worms, I would hope that you would try to stand up for my better health and try to help me learn about those things and not just let me do my own research by emailing Haribo.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB. You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
And, you have to have a duty, right? You have to show a duty. That's step number one, that you can't, you owe a duty to others not to harm them in some unreasonable way. So you have a duty.
With Joshua Brisco.
Right, Gobert can't go around being careless and reckless and harming other people. So you have a duty, you have a breach of that duty because, right, he's admitting to what he's doing.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
A really brutally unfair liner from Beards. Holy smokes, Beards. I think you have a duty not to do our guests like that. That is a rude way to welcome someone into our radio home. Well, you wouldn't know it by that liner, but the ever eloquent, ever professional Daniel Lust joins us now, sports attorney. As his Twitter now says, but I like this a lot, Dan, heard across ESPN, CBS, Fox Sports, maybe most importantly, right here on Sports Radio 810. You can follow him on Twitter at SportsLawLust. Always an excellent follow for everything that ends up colliding between sports and law. It happens all the time. But first, Dan, would you like to press charges against Beards for the intro?
Oh, man, I was not expecting that. That's the intentional infliction of emotional distress. And really, we will not be talking about the duty to me to slug you in the face next time I see you.
If you're ever in town, Beards is going to take off. I would like to say in this public setting, I had no idea that liner was even in the arsenal.
I made it during the break.
Oh,
Wow.
good man.
It's
when he
powerful.
wants to do his job, he gets it done very fast.
Yeah, unlike the NCAA and also the Senate. Boom! Already segued back to it, Dan.
I'm very impressed at that line. I think it was, listen, I used the pandemic to hone my interview skills, and we will not be talking about duties on top of duties on top of duties. Don't cut that one either.
I mean, you probably could have guessed, but by the end of the word either, Beards had already marked it. So it's nice to know. It's nice to know we'll have a new intro for you next time. Or that we'll end our relationship here on a high note, because maybe you'll just stop returning my calls, and I wouldn't blame you after what Beards just did to you. But man, yeah, slow couple of news days though, Dan. Not a whole lot going on right now in the sports and legal department, huh?
Is that your excuse for saying this is why you gave me a ring? Because you have nothing to talk about, so you want to talk about
No.
what went on at the Senate hearing today, Josh?
No, I actually, so what the truth of it is, I didn't realize there was a Senate hearing today, and actually for another podcast, I was planning on talking about some name, image, likeness stuff, and this was all happening. I was being facetious, of course, because I actually think that what we saw today was super interesting, highlighted by a bunch of sitting U.S. senators absolutely dunking on Mark Emmert 4 feet in front of him. That was my favorite part of today.
Yeah, so I guess dating back a couple months, we had that Supreme Court hearing, NCAA versus Alston, and, the judges took their time and took their shots beating up the NCAA's lawyer, which is fun, right? People are beating up the NCAA. But it's not like Mark Emmert is sitting in the front row.
Right.
You have senators across the country, on the left, on the right, saying that the NCAA is incompetent. They're a bunch of overpaid, incompetent idiots. And meanwhile, they are gesturing at Mark Emmert. So, yeah, not a seat you want to be in by any means today.
That's so good. So can you, for the layman here, can you explain sort of the procedural thing that how did, because I saw some people tweeting about this, how did this end up in front of the Senate today?
So I guess taking a couple steps back, I think why they had this hearing is important, but I think when they're having it is also very important. So, the NIL, this name, image, and likeness context is very complicated. I think the easiest way I can explain it, people when they see, the NCAA is going to be paying college athletes, they think hey, the NCAA might cut them a check or the schools might cut them a check. This is really just a fancy way to say that these guys have an entrepreneurship license. They can go out and sign endorsement deals that don't otherwise exist. The way I try to explain it, it's hey, these schools aren't paying them. They are creating a new stream of revenue. If they have, 100,000 followers on a TikTok, maybe they can get some type of endorsement, something that the school wouldn't otherwise get. So, yeah, the money is not being taken from Peter to pay Paul. The money is just being created seemingly out of thin air. So as of July 1st, there will be, at a minimum of 5, at most 10 states in our country. We could get into them if you want to figure out who's getting the recruiting edges and all that stuff. But about, we'll say 10 states that will be allowed their in-state athletes to be able to sign endorsement deals and make money, while they're being a college athlete. So that's July 1st, and no coincidence on timing. This is June 9th. So this is kind of the last stand if the Senate is really going to get their act together with a federal bill, which is a fancy way of saying federal bill is another way of saying, hey, all 50 states are going to have this, right? It's not going to be 10 states have this and 5 states have this different kind. They're all going to have a uniform one way to approach name, image, and likeness. So the NCAA is asking for it. States are kind of asking for it. So it's just kind of a matter of getting these politicians to get their act together.
Well, yeah, and so, I mean, it seems like everybody wants, the one thing that everyone can agree on is uniformity. Like, I don't think that anybody other than maybe the few states that right now would have an edge, generally it seems like everybody wants to at least have an even playing field. But what specifically then are we waiting on in terms of the Senate making some sort of ruling? Again, you say it runs through the Supreme Court. Is this an issue of the NCAA needs to be told that they have to change their rules? Is there a legal workaround right now? What would be the step that would create some uniformity that would happen next?
I mean, I think the threat of chaos occurring on July 1st is probably it, and concerned, people that live in various jurisdictions, they're calling up their senators and complaining that, hey, my college football team had 50 players enter the transfer portal, and they're all going over to Alabama. They're all going to, the Florida schools. So, I mean, here's the thing: like there will be chaos. I don't want to make that lightly. Like if there's a world where Florida, FSU, Miami, all the Florida schools, Georgia, Alabama, if they will get a sizable recruiting edge for every high school athlete, every 5-star recruit, 4-star recruit, that is going to have some real impact on college sports. So there's no kind of ifs, ands, or buts about it. Right now, those 10 states, we'll call them 15. There's some that have, name, image, likeness that's going to pass in August and September, but they're going to pass at some point in the next 6-7 months. So there are the haves, the have name, image, and likeness very close by, and there are the have-nots. So the other 30 states or some other 35 states that have literally zero. They don't have anything. Now, Josh, you asked kind of what's kind of driving this. The NCAA, for about a year and a half, has known that this was happening because California passed fair pay to play, at the end of 2018. That was, way pre-pandemic. And they said, hey, this is going to go into effect in 2023. So California was very kind to the NCAA, and they said, hey, you don't have to figure this out for 4 years. But Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, all these states with this July 1st, they said, you know what? California did a good job, but we're going to cut that deadline in half. And we're going to, basically enact chaos on the NCAA unless you guys can figure out name, image, and likeness and at least create some baseline for those other 30 states that have nothing. But Mark Emmert, in his infinite wisdom, has sat in his hands and has done absolutely nothing. So, yeah, that disparity between the have and the have-nots, it is very vast as we sit here today on June 9th.
Could the NCAA have just fully never had to go to court, to the Supreme Court, never had to go to the Senate, if they would have just said, hey, we're going to adopt name, image, likeness rules? Because it doesn't seem like they would need legal permission for people to make money off of their social media accounts, right?
Yeah, I don't think the states would have put this at such a high priority. Like, California, I mean, I joked online, like, it's a bipartisan issue, people hating Mark Emmert, right?
Yes,
like,
yes.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody hates Mark Emmert. So when California passed this rule, fair pay to play, senators and politicians, right, they're human beings. They want their constituency to love them. They want to get reelected. So they're like, hey, you know what everyone loves? A bill to pay college athletes. Let's do that. But California only passed fair pay to play because it was an issue in the state. Athletes were complaining that they weren't able to profit off their name, image, and likeness. So now the NCAA has their back up against the wall because they have no control over these laws that are being passed at the state level. States are going to control, the schools, and then federal government's going to control the state. So all of a sudden, the NCAA is sitting on their hands for 100 years. It's a little bit of karma. They don't get to control these laws that are being passed. And if they had done something, Josh, to your point, 20 years ago, whatever, maybe 10 years ago with the Ed O'Bannon lawsuit, with the, the death of EA Sports college video games, they could have gotten ahead of this, but they continued to sit on their hands.
Which is one of the points that got made at least a few times based off of your Twitter feed today. It was essentially, we can't trust the NCAA to do anything other than to just be sort of obstructionist here, which I think you would have pretty good examples of that happening throughout history. One of the things that I didn't really spend any time thinking about before today, and I certainly don't fully understand to this point, is the idea of there being some sort of revenue sharing elements within all of this. That might be, I don't even necessarily know where that is coming from or headed or what the different elements of that would be. Can you give us a crash course on that element of it?
Sure. It's not all states, but there are some states that have proposed legislation that essentially would say, well, actually, let's take one step back. In a free market, that's when people talk about antitrust laws, which is very complex. We probably, we're not going to go into the weeds, and then Rudy's going to clip it and make me sound like a complete idiot. So we won't talk about antitrust law. But the opposite. Fair. Listen, I get it at this point. It's fair. But a free market is what the American economy is supposed to function. People can do whatever they want, and they get to kind of get what they give into it. So in that world, if someone's like a pure free enterprise type of guy, they'll say, hey, college football, college basketball, those are the real money makers, and those guys are making the money. So why should that money, instead of going to those athletes, be redistributed across all these sports that college football players and college basketball players have nothing to do with, right? It's paying for baseball, for swimming, for softball, for track. Right? Those sports aren't traditionally money makers. So in this quote-unquote revenue sharing model, I think, at least the context I'm hearing it, is that the money would stay within that particular sport. It would go to football players. It would go to basketball players. So that's why you have the president of Howard kind of talking about, hey, we can't really enact this, name, image, and likeness so quickly on a federal level, because there's a chance if it's not done appropriately, it could really be a death knell for some lower level sports. So people are throwing out revenue sharing as a way to maybe, in a sense, do the more fair thing for athletes. But I think there's, a little bit of caution in saying, hey, it's great to pay these athletes, but this economy and this infrastructure of college sports is, it's not really so normal that like college football, college basketball are keeping all the other sports afloat. So if you take that money and you give it to the athletes to take it away from the school, yeah, there is a real risk, I think, of other sports being harmed by that.
What did you hear from Mark Emmert today that made you, more than anything else, raise your eyebrows or be surprised by what you were hearing?
So I try to give you one legal word to make you a little bit smarter.
Yes.
Obviously, in that appearance that Rudy had, the word was duty.
It's duty,
which,
yes.
That was the word of the day. D is for duty, D-U-T-Y, for you sickos out there. Okay, let's be very clear here. The word of the day today is injunction. Josh,
Yes.
Do you know what injunction means?
You've used it on this show before, but if I had to describe it right now with a gun to my head, I'd tell you to just pull the trigger already.
We are not pulling the trigger, Josh. You're not dying on my watch, soldiers. Okay.
I really appreciate that.
So an injunction is a really fancy way in the law of saying we are going to block this thing from occurring. And you ask the court, hey, we need to block this thing from occurring right now, because if it goes forward, irreparable harm can be caused to me. So it could be you can have an injunction in any number of contexts, right? Like, for example, right, if your house was going to get sold because you forgot to pay the mortgage, you could sue the bank to get an injunction and try to block the sale. That's a fancy way of saying it. So us lawyers, we sit and we kind of ponder about what's going to happen here. And we've said we think that there's a world where July 1st is coming up, everyone's all excited, athletes are going to get paid, and the NCAA files an injunction against all of these various states, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, all the states that have passed NIL, and they say, hey, listen, unless we block this thing, irreparable harm will be caused to college sports. Well, the court would go, what's the irreparable harm? All of the recruiting battles would go to those particular states, which is probably what will happen. I don't think that's that crazy. So if the NCAA does that, that July 1st deadline, or whatever you want to call it, that date on your calendar, will get circled, and then you'll keep pushing it back indefinitely, and the NCAA will say, hey, we just need a little bit more time to figure it out, right, to make the NCAA version of name, image, and likeness. Or maybe they're pushing it back to buy the federal government more time. I will tell you right now, Josh, 20 days, 21 days, whatever we are, till July 1st, is not enough time for the federal government to figure it out. Now, you asked me, what did I learn from Mark Emmert? This really, cool. I don't really know anything about him, but guy Brian Schatz, over a senator in Hawaii, he goes to Mark Emmert directly, are you guys planning to file an injunction against the states that have passed NIL laws? So Mark Emmert, in his infinite wisdom, he goes, we've had a lot of conversations about it, but a decision has not yet been reached. That is not a ringing endorsement for someone that is not planning to file an injunction. That sounds an awful lot like someone that is planning to file an injunction, just didn't want to say it yet because he wanted the element of surprise. But Josh, that's why you have me on.
Yes.
I sniffed it out.
Yes.
I think that's exactly what he's planning to do.
So what's the benefit of that, or what is the strategy behind that?
I mean, think about it. Like you guys, right? There's no name, image, and likeness where you guys are, right?
Right.
So you guys Jayhawks fans? Is this a Jayhawks network?
I mean, it is a Jayhawks network. Beards is a KU fan. Rudy kind of is.
I went to
but
Kentucky, so I'm a Wildcat.
The home of the Jayhawks here, Sports
Yes.
Radio 810.
Okay, watch this. There's the Kentucky. There's the Jayhawks. Neither of these, both basketball powerhouses, neither of those states have name, image, and likeness laws that are going to effect July 1st. So the five-star recruit, if he's deciding between Kentucky and Tennessee, right, and let's say U of F, same deal with the Jayhawks. They're always going to go to those NIL schools. So what's the wisdom behind this? You really could, in theory, right, like, I don't know, ruin the balance of college basketball if all of these NIL, states got all the top recruits. I mean, there's a world where that happens. We had a record number of players enter the transfer portal, and I'm sure when they start emptying out of the transfer portal, we're going to see that the numbers reflect that they're going to NIL schools. So, yeah, I think the NCAA might have a point there that irreparable harm would be caused unless they try to buy more time to the federal government to figure this out. If a federal bill comes in, and maybe I think this is important. Actually, you know what, Josh? I'm gonna quiz you here. What's the drinking age in our country, Josh?
It's 21 years old, I believe.
See, you know that one. You just don't know injunctions.
Yeah. Well, the legal drinking age was important to me much before the word injunction was.
That's totally fine. Same here as well. I didn't grow up as a lawyer. At some point,
You know what? I think I'm realizing now that I'm now imagining baby Dan Lust, and you are in a full suit, and your hair looks exactly as good as it does right now.
I actually had a monocle in when I was an intern, so that makes sense. No, so I mentioned it like, the drinking age is 21 across the country. Why is that? Because there is a federal law on the books that makes it uniform. When my parents grew up, and I'm sure your parents, the drinking age was not the same in every state. So you could go across state lines. In some places, the drinking age was like 19, and you would drive across state lines, you have a drink, go to a house party, and come back. So you don't want people to what we call, it's a term called forum shopping. You don't want people picking a venue because they can get favorable laws. If the federal government comes in, it doesn't matter, if they have a good federal bill or a bad one. It's everyone's federal bill. The drinking age is 21. All the states, Kentucky, Kansas State, all have to abide by the same laws. So for better or for worse, it's a clean rule. So that's why NCAA, that's why, everybody is hoping the federal government gets off their you-know-what and gets their act together. So, yeah, I'm hoping that's what happens. And I don't really root for the NCAA to do anything, but I think an injunction does make some sense here.
One other thing from this today that I thought was kind of interesting, just something that I hadn't really considered much. I'm not sure how it would logistically work. Mark Few, Gonzaga's coach, talked about the idea of the we don't need a market cap, that the players should be able to get their fair market value. I mean, I guess that they could have players go through some sort of like very litigious reporting of whatever their income was off of their likeness and everything. But what do you think the likelihood is that there would be some sort of cap? Do you have any feel for what the logistics of that would entail if they did try to go that direction?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say. I will say, it's for the sports fans out there. Mark Few kind of went up today, head coach of Gonzaga, was probably one of the star witnesses, along with Mark Emmert, and he said there should not be any type of cap on what athletes should make. It should be a completely uncapped world, according to Mark Few, and people should just be able to make fair market value. So, to use Tim Tebow in Gainesville, at the top of his peak powers. What does Tim Tebow make in Gainesville? $25 million a year. The guy was a god.
Yeah.
The guy was like an absolute god in Florida. So that's how Mark Few, he had a big platform today to speak to it. If that's really his opinion, I'm sure recruits are going to love hearing that. They're going to love that his school is trying to pump up their players. And like, it's a really easy way to make yourself look good in the eyes of high school players and whatnot. So, yeah, I don't think there's a real. Actually, I take one step back. How do you track that stuff, Josh? Which is a really good question. So there was a senator today from Nebraska who kind of raised this point. Like, you have potential of federal bill that could be out there, maybe. But as of right now, you have state NIL, you have the NCAA's weird rules, and then you have your school's interpretation of these different rules. So you have kind of like three levels of checks and balances. So the senator goes, listen, it's great, it's a great recruiting edge, but like for these student athletes, it's really hard to manage. Mark Emmert, what are you going to do to manage this, for this compliance nightmare, this pyramid and myriad of issues? What are you going to do? And, obviously Mark Emmert said absolutely nothing, and he filibustered his way out of the question. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic question. I don't really know how they track that. I really don't. And again, I don't think that's something that gets figured out in 20 days.
Yeah.
Which is why they gave the NCAA 18 months to figure it out, and they've really done very little.
I'll leave it on that because that feels like a pretty good bow to put on it. I wanted to check in on one other thing that sort of popped back up into the news feeds today with Deshaun Watson. Apparently, there's some people that think that he wants to go to Denver, and that was shortly followed up by, I think it was Ian Rappaport, who said that he would love to go to Denver, but that it's not like it's the only place that he'd go and all of that. And it made me a little bit uncomfortable to be like straight back into transaction talk for Deshaun Watson whenever things have been sort of oddly quiet, at least in my eyes, oddly, maybe not for you. Things have been pretty quiet, though, on the front of all of the sexual assault allegations and the various forms that took. I don't know why it's been quiet for as long as it has. I don't know if you have any expertise or even just a good educated guess as to why it's been a little bit more quiet on the Deshaun Watson front lately, but it does feel like it's been a slow month or two.
Okay, watch this. Here's my educated guess. You ready for this, Josh?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I was going to say something borderline inappropriate, but I can't with Rudy here because he'll just clip it for eternity. It was probably going to be some sort of a Beyonce lyric, but we'll put it on the side. Okay. So, what we did see, there was a period from about, I want to say, the end of April to the beginning of May, where we also similarly did not hear anything. And then right in the middle of May, which I don't know if you caught, but there was a really big development. And then again, nothing for the last about a month. So what happened in the middle, right before that, right after that first period of silence, both sides came out and said that they were in the middle of settlement talks, and the settlement talks fell through. Now, who initiated the settlement talks was at issue. Deshaun Watson's side said the other side initiated it. The other side said that's not true. But we do know that settlement talks occurred. Rich Eisen had reported that during the draft that they were very close to a settlement of all these cases. So Rich Eisen's probably keyed in to some extent. He's probably not wrong, and it seems to be undisputed that some type of settlement talks occurred. Settlement would be a reason that both sides have stopped talking. Why? Because if you say something really mean about someone in the media, you can't really take it back. So when you're getting close to a settlement, sometimes you don't want to say the thing that's going to go nuclear. So we know that's why the first period of silence occurred, and now it's happening again. So I don't think it's crazy to think that settlement is possible. Now, the bigger question, if they do settle, right, does that make Deshaun Watson free and clear to get traded to Denver or Philly or all these crazy places? Short answer is no. I've been on the record. I've tried to be pretty clear. I think Watson, his lawyers have kind of walked him into a hole. Either he's, personal conduct policy, the NFL says you can still get a suspension if you settle a case. So put that aside, number one. And that would be a suspension based on civil sexual assault. I think his lawyers have kind of walked him into a hole where they may have admitted that maybe he didn't commit sexual assault, but he was engaging in some form of prostitution. Like, jokes aside, he's saying that there was money that was exchanged for these services. So it's either consensual prostitution or it's non-consensual assault, both of which I think are suspendable offenses. So I don't know. I do think a suspension's coming for either of those trees you take.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I hadn't thought about that. And the other thing with the potential settlement that always sort of sticks with me is that then they came out very early on the Watson side, said, we're not going to settle. We're going to fight this the whole way through. It seems like, if I had to guess just based off of a few years of paying attention to stuff like this within sports, it seems like the most likely thing and maybe the best thing for Watson's camp would be settle and in a way that doesn't leave anybody talking about it and take your suspension and give it some time. Maybe you miss this whole season and you come back again next offseason and you get traded, because we have pretty short memories, especially whenever it's for a player that we think can really help any of our teams. And to settle and not have to drag this through court, I don't understand what the advantage would be to them actually fighting tooth and nail, unless they really thought there was a complete and total clear path for him to take. But with your point there, like, there's going to be something that's going to end up falling on Watson.
Do you know how insane it would be for them to take this to trial and have 20 different women give these accounts and give live deposition testimony and go on the witness stand and cry about their experiences? For Deshaun Watson to let that happen would be really surprising is, I guess, the best word. I mean, it would be shocking if his lawyer allowed him to do that. And Josh, I mean, I guess that's point one. Point two, Michael Vick, right?
Yeah.
Michael Vick, he did his time. He very quietly walked away. He took a settlement. He went to prison And guess what? Michael Vick not only returned to the league, Michael Vick is on television. Michael Vick is doing interviews. Michael Vick is basically a commentator, right? He's in that space. So that tells you that if you have the talent and you can come back, not to say I'm approving of this, but the NFL has said time and time again, we're gonna let you back into our world if the talent prevails. So obviously, maybe it's a 2-strike league, 3-strike league, but people in the NFL get second chances if you have that type of talent. Deshaun Watson is in his early 20s. He's still got a lot of football left to play. So, yeah, I think the more you can do damage control at this point, the better.
Dan, it's always great to talk to you. I'm sorry that we introduced you in the way that we did. Really took some of the gravitas away from all of the expertise that you brought to the table. In return, I can offer you the olive branch of please tell everybody where they can get all of the work that you're doing with Conduct Detrimental and everything else, where people can follow you, where people can find your work if they're interested in more sports law stuff.
You guys can make it up to me with the shakaroni pizza. I knew I was going to get that reference in there. Okay, I keep track of what you guys do too.
I'm gonna
bring it back up.
I'm gonna see if this is still available.
Okay, so while you're doing that, my podcast, Conduct Detrimental, we cover the intersection of sports and law. Josh, thank you for congratulating me. I've been named the professor of sports law at New York Law School. I appreciate that. Next time,
round of applause. Professor Lust. Beards, turn on your mic and start clapping.
Well, that's it, guys. It's always a pleasure coming on with you. Always a lot of fun. Happy to do it anytime.
Oh, Captain, my captain.
We'll talk to you again, Dan. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Follow him on Twitter at SportsLawLust. Seriously, it's just an incredible... You'll find out that stuff is happening by what Dan is tweeting about, which I think is honestly one of the best endorsements that I can give to anybody's Twitter. Of like, you might not see some of this stuff pop up anywhere else on your timeline, but Dan is plugged in on these things that... are incredibly relevant, even if sometimes they're not the easiest thing to immediately comprehend. He does a super, super good job of making it digestible. And Beards thanked him by way of cutting him saying the word duty 50 times.
All I did was amplify every time he said duty.
I did
That's
hear
all
that.
I did.
And he blamed Rudy.
He did.
He blamed Rudy for it.
To be fair, we had Dan out a lot when Beards took that 9-month vacation. When I was running the board.
That makes it sound like he went and had a secret baby.
Well, he took a 9-month vacation. I don't know what to tell you.
Let's
I don't
take
know
a
what
break.
he did.
Yeah, no,
I know what he did. He ate a lot of chicken strips and he played Dark Souls like 20 times.
He didn't talk to us at all for that entire 9-month vacation that he took.
I mean, it's a vacation. You don't talk to people, your fellow work employees on vacation.
I don't think fellow work employees is quite the colleagues.
No, fellow work associates.
Okay. And certainly not friends. Not in Rudy's book.
I mean, he didn't tell us he was getting engaged.
That's such a good point. You slimy little. Let's take a break. Whenever we come back, I want to talk about a few things that Dan brought up there. We'll give you a halftime update of Suns Nugs.
We don't have to.
It's not a 20-point game, Rudy. Relax. We'll do it when we come back. Rudy, we'll do it when we come back. I want to talk about some of the stuff that Dan brought up, talk about some of the stuff from Suns Nugs, and also I do have a couple of thoughts on the Deshaun Watson thing, kind of extrapolating on what we just talked about there with Dan. Follow him on Twitter at SportsLawLust, and if you like that segment, just tweet him. You know what would be hilarious? Just tweet him the word duty, D-U-T-Y, but
Duty.
like 10 times. Just one tweet, not 10 tweets, just one tweet that just says D-U-T-Y, space, D-U-T-Y, space, D-U-T-Y, space, D-U-T-Y. He'll know.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page. You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
I love the idea of having a lottery tournament
Yeah.
where teams are competing for draft picks, basically.
With Joshua Brisco.
This is
I would really watch that.
it would be more watched
Yeah.
than whatever round of the playoffs it was going up against, as long as it wasn't the
Yeah.
finals. I mean, like let's say you got a boring Eastern and Western Conference final, but you've got you've got Memphis versus New Orleans.
No.
playing for Zion.
You're not including Phoenix in this?
Not in the championship game.
You're missing the team here.
Okay.
A LeBron James Lakers
Holy
team
bleep!
Oh man.
going up against whoever.
Devin Booker.
Yeah, Devin Booker's sons for the rights
Wait,
to
Devin
Zion.
Booker has sons already? I know. Sorry.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Beards, you got to come up with a shorter version of that liner, man.
I disagree.
That liner's so long, and
I disagree.
It's so unfunny for so long.
That's the joke.
I'm with Beards on this one.
Rudy, can I get I wasn't paying as close attention to the game as you were, because I was talking to Dan. Can you give me a brief update on what happened in the first half of Suns Nuggets? I genuinely do not know the score right now.
They suck. That's what happened.
Beards, can I get a halftime update from you at all, please?
Yeah.
Can someone?
What he said.
Loser.
What is the score? Someone stop bleeping around and tell me the score.
Hang on, I'll tell you.
The Suns have more points than the Nuggets.
What's the score, Rudy? You were reading me stats during the break, but I wasn't really listening.
52-42 Phoenix.
It's a 10-point game, and Rudy, you would think that
The
Rudy had
Nuggets
his Nuggets
are
stomped on.
4 for 20. If you watched it, which, hey, I understand why you weren't. You were doing it.
I was trying to do my job.
I understand. This game should be more than 10 points. Like, the Nuggets are lucky to only be down by 10 right now.
I'm trying to wave the Suns flag in front of Rudy's camera on the just
It's
for
getting there. It's getting there.
for Twitch. So give me the 3-point shooting again, please.
The Nuggets are 4 for 22 from 3.
Here,
And
do you want your?
and here's the problem
It's
with
a
it.
10-point game.
But here's the problem with it. It's not that they're missing open shots. They are doing is shooting contested threes. And that's a good idea.
But
It's just such terrible offense.
if I'm building up your confidence here, because I don't
I mean,
want
it's
you to
not
give
gonna
up on
work.
this game.
It's over.
If I build up your confidence here, here's what I'll tell you.
Well, it's not going to build up my confidence.
They're a better shooting team than that.
But here's the
Those
thing.
shots are going to fall in the second half.
Not necessarily. But again, that's the thing. If they were open shots, absolutely. But they just keep shooting contested fadeaway shots.
They'll get there. Jokic has looked good.
Yes, he has. Jokic just played well, and Will Barton had a good 9 minutes off the bench, but also Will Barton's hurt, so I don't expect he'll probably play more than 9 minutes in the second half. It's probably not going to be that much more.
Putting on my halftime Suns hat. If you're joining us just now, I've spent this entire show with my Phoenix Suns flag draped around my shoulders. Went ahead and added the hat now. Feeling pretty good about things.
Have you still not bought one of the Valley hats or jerseys or something?
Never
t-shirts?
came back in stock. Never came back in stock. It's my phone background, but the hats never came back in stock. You know what I did buy, and at least one of them got delivered. You know what? I meant to tell this anecdote after the first series on that Friday that you were gone, Beards, but I completely forgot about it. So this is a somewhat vulnerable story. So everybody perk up, Beards. You can mark in advance if you want. I don't really care. No, it's just that I was on the way home from here to get home for Game 6, which is when the Suns ultimately clinched over the Lakers.
Yeah, they did.
There is a hell. You know what, Beards? Yeah, they did.
Say Beards is
Good
more
point,
excited
Beards.
than you are.
Well,
With the Lakers.
it's because I know where this story goes.
Oof. That's fair.
And across, just sort of like a block or two down, that's a couple blocks down the street from my house, recently they opened up a Taco Bell, which is great because there wasn't a lot of great options there. And it's
home of Nikola Jokic.
That's right. The MVP quesarito, and it's been I've gone by there a good number of times since it's opened up because it's open late.
Yep.
The show goes late, so it's always there for me. As previously discussed with Matt Verderam and Matt Greenbranch in shows past. And so on the way home there, it was right there, and it just sounded good. And at some point recently, I think girlfriend Renee was really the one to find this out. I can blame her for at least the very beginning part. You can get the Baja Blast, right? That's like the Taco Bell calling card in terms of beverages. Beards, have you ever had Baja Blast in your life? And so Baja Blast is pretty good, but also you take that home with you, you are only one ingredient away from creating what I have called the Vodka Blast.
Is it gin?
Nope, it's not whiskey, gin, or rum, or tequila, or Everclear, or rubbing alcohol.
A seltzer?
What about a malt liquor?
So you just drop a little vodka in your Baja Blast, you get yourself a little Vodka Blast.
Vodka!
A little Vodka Blast.
Ah,
So Vodka Blast,
it's in the name.
big bag of Taco Bell
I
food.
get it.
So,
You should work in marketing.
I should. I got 2 large Vodka Blasts. 2 large Baja Blasts that then turned into Vodka Blasts. Made a pretty good dent in mine before Renee even got back. And I did spend, I hadn't eaten in a while. It was just one of those times where it sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it just sneaks up on you. It doesn't happen to me very often. Snuck up on me around game 6. Halftime, let's go ahead and top this sucker up again. We're feeling pretty good right now. Anthony Davis isn't coming back. I feel like the Suns are going to win this game. And I watched a good portion of the third quarter, very attentively, but horizontal on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually back up, full kind of hunched over, like, the aggressive video game pose. You're really locked in.
Oh, yeah.
Basically spent the fourth quarter doing that. The game ended, and then I did drunkenly purchase 2 new Phoenix Suns t-shirts on the internet moments after they clinched the series.
I don't blame you.
One of them got in today. I think it may have actually both, but one of them got in before I left today. And I almost wore it, but I wanted to wash it first because, I don't know.
I do the same thing.
Because I just did.
Yeah. I do the exact same thing.
And one time I wore a shirt without washing it first, and I sweat so much. This was pre my armpits getting zapped. I sweat so much that it got permanent pit stains that I'm guessing wouldn't have been there if I would have washed it before ever sweating into it.
Yeah.
But I bought several, and one of them, I'm going to tell you the one that I bought that came in today is like sort of Phoenix Suns, but mostly Pac-Man.
Checks out.
Do go on.
Well, so you can Google, I think the brand is like Junk Food or something like that, but if you Google Phoenix Suns Pac-Man shirt, I'm sure you're going to, it's the first one there. It's the purple one. And I don't know.
It's the black.
It's the purple version.
Oh, the purple version. Interesting.
So I'm going to explain it. It's got a I'm guessing they made these for all the teams, but it's a big, a cartoonish Pac-Man who is spinning a basketball on his finger. It says high score. There's a pixelated NBA logo. It's all in orange, and it's a purple shirt. There's a little Suns logo, and then underneath it says Suns Phoenix. And then on the back is another Pac-Man, a little Suns pixelated logo, and a Pac-Man ghost.
Mm-hmm.
I look at this shirt right now, and I think, is this worth $35? I'm not sure. I looked at this shirt and another one that is not quite as eclectic, but is definitely very 90s.
They also have Mickey Mouse themed t-shirts.
There's also some Marvel. The NBA's got some weird licensing deals. But I immediately after the game, I was riding the endorphin high of the Suns winning a playoff series and then also a nice big vodka blast. And so I did, in fact, purchase 2 new Suns shirts immediately after that. And I will be wearing them most of the time for the remainder of at least the playoffs as the Suns, until I can buy my NBA champion shirts.
I mean, it's fair. That's smart.
So that was my endeavor that I took on. The shirt I'm actually very excited about now. It's very weird. I'm not completely sure why I decided that was the exact Sun shirt I wanted to get.
That was the one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just to be clear, it fits the brand pretty straightforward, I think. Like,
absolutely.
Of the people in your life that might wear an NBA Pac-Man t-shirt crossover, relatively on brand, but
I'm shocked you didn't get the acid-stained long sleeve or tie-dye, whatever.
Where are you seeing that?
Down at like the very bottom of their NBA collection page.
Which website is this on?
It's the Junk Food.
I didn't order from them. I ordered it through the Sun Shop site.
Through store.nba.
But I'm back on the Junk Food site now because I do like how this shirt felt.
It's a long sleeve t-shirt.
Oh, I just saw the Bulls one, and it is excellent.
It's like at the very bottom of the list.
Almost all of these are incredibly good. And yeah, lots of Mickey, huh? Oh, dude,
Yeah.
the tie-dye long sleeve is absolutely killer. That might be happening. We'll see. Maybe they wrap up this game tonight. Maybe we'll have a little Suns merch party.
Vodka Blast Part 2.
Yeah.
I just found the Denver Nuggets high score Pac-Man shirt.
Is it everything you dreamed?
It's everything I would have dreamed. So you are right though. They do have them in all the teams, I would assume. I did find though like the like a Denver Nuggets
Mickey ones are
rainbow
so weird.
skyline hat.
Wow, also
Good hat.
excellent. Also super good.
It's a good hat.
The Nuggets have good merch.
I had a great Nuggets retro like snapback hat back in the day that I don't know what's happened to it. Like I lost it somewhere along the way, and it's sad because that hat fit perfectly.
Oh.
It looked great. It was white with the skyline, with the rainbow skyline. Like it was a beautiful hat.
You gotta search high and low and find the closest you can get to that.
I've tried, and I can't find it anywhere.
Thanks to Ryan on Twitch for saying I think the Pac-Man one is a great shirt. Thank you, Ryan. I needed a little boost on that one right now. Also, so Ryan did also pick up the well, you know what he did? You know what Ryan did last commercial break?
Oh, that's a lot of money.
He did his duty. And tweeted duty at Dan, and then Dan responded by blaming Rudy with an assist to me when it was all really Beards' fault.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And then Dan said, the trifecta of Dutygate is complete. And I think that a Dutygate sounds like a euphemism for your butt. If I'm being honest.
I mean,
Am I wrong?
No,
I think a
don't know.
Dutygate sounds like a euphemism for your butt.
you were not wrong.
Your butt cheeks at the gate. And
Yeah.
that's the end of the explanation. You get it. Dutygate.
I get it.
Beards looks so disappointed in me. It's unbelievable. I've often joked and joked is not totally fair. I've often joked, honestly, that I talk to Beards more often and have talked to Beards more often over the last several years than I've probably talked to my own mom and dad. But
Yeah.
I've never gotten quite the energy of disappointment from all of them equally as I did in this moment. It was like they were here with me, being disappointed from the other side of two panes of glass. What are you grimacing at, Rudy? You've got a
I
grimace.
probably
Just-
the game.
I mean, is it back on?
Yes, it is actually
Oh,
back.
it's too expensive. I just found the thing that I wanted in my life so bad, man.
Is it a legitimate MVP instead of a fake one?
It's a short-sleeved hoodie. It's beautiful,
And it's $100.
but it's $100.
Oh man, if it was, I was like, yeah, listen, man, spend those $45. Ooh, it's $100. It's Michelin Ness.
It's so perfect.
You know what we should
There's
do?
there's a Dikembe Mutombo one that's also very good. It's 110.
We gotta set up like a Twitch tip jar that's
Yes,
exclusively to
that's
buy us
for-
cool NBA
yes.
clothes. Because I've got
We each actually change the plan. It doesn't necessarily have to be NBA clothes. We just each get a thing at any given time. It's
I've
just
had,
like you're tipping to fund this project.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I've had this open in a tab for a while now. It's also Mitchell and Ness, but it is a mesh jersey
good.
throwback to Steve Nash.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the old
Is that
school.
a baseball jersey kind of thing?
Sort
Yeah.
of. It's a pullover, so it's all mesh, but there's no buttons on the front
gotcha.
or anything.
Yeah.
But it does have sleeves, so I could like wear it as a shirt in public,
Yeah.
unlike basketball jerseys that I cannot fully pull off. at
These
this point in my
shorts are a
life.
lot.
I like
Mitchell
them a
and
lot,
Ness.
though. I like them a lot. Mitchell and Ness stuff is so good, man.
I bet they have Suns one like that, the Jumbotron shorts.
They might, but the question isn't do they have good merch. It's do I have good money.
Here's a Mitchell and Ness Jumbotron shirt. It's a lot.
It actually refreshed when you turned
Oh,
your
it
computer
did.
around, and so
Yeah.
I didn't see it. But because it's an audio medium, wow, Rudy, that's incredible.
So nice, right?
So nice.
So nice. $80 for a Mitchell and Ness tank top.
We don't have that kind of life right now.
Whew.
Maybe someday, Rudy. Until then, all you can do, try to save up some money, keep that glimmer in your eye, and no matter what, do your duty.
At JB Briscoe. at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco
I have a lot of whips.
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Beards is choosing violence today.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Can't hurt me more than I'm already hurt.
Yeah, true. So I looked up the third quarter started of Suns Nugs. It's 65-46 right now. Oh, you know what? I'm going to give this a second. We got a little Jay Crowder from a mile away. No good.
You remember when?
I mean that might happen. They can't do play-by-play.
When
Michael Porter Jr. just asked out of the game. How does that make you feel?
good. I don't want him playing. He shouldn't be playing. Have you seen him?
All right, so
You remember
Mikal
when
Bridges.
Scott
no, good.
said that like
was gonna
you
make
should be wanting to play the Trailblazers because
Oh,
they're just
yeah.
the worst team, the next
Yeah.
extra good team? Scott might have been wrong.
We gotta get to Tony Sands here momentarily. I'm really looking forward to letting you all hear from him in about 5 minutes or so. Also, we're going to 11 tonight. Also worth noting. One more thing, though. I want to mention this before I forget. As the Suns are at 65 points right now, I was hoping we might see them score maybe 4 more. I'd like to wish a very nice day to everybody listening right now. Not only is it hump day, it's also 6-9.
Nice.
I mean, every day should be a nice day.
I don't know what kind of
not.
lifestyle you're living, Beards.
Yeah.
Hold on. Good God.
I just want one nice day a year. I just need one.
I just wish someone would explain to me what all the fuss about these funny numbers is about, because I'm super confused.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Center.
Hello there. I'm Mark Robbins. Third quarter, Phoenix. West semifinals in the NBA playoffs. Game number 2, and the Phoenix Suns having fun with Denver. 69-48 with about 7 minutes to go in the third quarter. Of course, the Suns took the opener of this series. Devin Booker leading the way with Phoenix with 13 points. Nikola Jokic playing his first game as MVP of the NBA has 17 points to lead Denver. The NBA announcing Utah center Rudy Gobert has won the Defensive Player of the Year award. It's the third time Gobert has won this award. Earlier today, the Pacers fired head coach Nate Bjorkgren. The Pacers were 34-38 in Bjorkgren's only season as head coach. In the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Islanders knock out the Bruins in Game 6, 6-2, taking their playoff series 4-2, and now the Isles move on to the Stanley Cup semifinals in a series with Tampa Bay. In Major League Baseball Wednesday, the Phillies' Luke Williams, a rookie with a moment to remember in only his second big league game.
The 0-1 pitch. Swung on. Line left field. Pretty deep. Going back to Reddy. He looks up. It is gone! It's a walk-off home run! The first homer in the career of Luke Williams!
All the excitement on 94 WYP as the Phillies beat the Braves 2-1. Women's College World Series, Oklahoma over Florida State 6-2. That forces a winner-take-all game for the national title, 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow on ESPN and the app.
Coming up Thursday, Coach K only has one more season at Duke. One more. So we'll tell you how much pressure is on Coach, and the new coach, John Shire, in the waiting, joins us at 8:10 a.m. Eastern on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin on ESPN Radio.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I meant to warn you at the front end that this show is, we're going to talk about some NFL stuff and some Chiefs stuff, but you're going to have to, this show is going to be unapologetically this show today.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Usually I don't like to write out introductions for people. They can be kind of a lot and kind of high-minded. You get all the details lost in here, but I have to admit that I had to do that for our next guest because he was the 1991 Big 8 Offensive Player of the Year. He still holds the record for most rushing attempts in a single FBS game with 58, not a typo, 58. He's now a renowned NFL trainer for players from Lamar Jackson to Michael Irvin. He has a new book out now called I Was Before My Time, available on Amazon or wherever books are sold. And I can officially say welcome to Almost Entirely Sports, former KU legend. I'm going to give you legend, Tony. Thank you very much for joining us today.
No problem. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me today on this beautiful day. I'm here in South Florida, and that's just what it is. It is a beautiful day here in South Florida. I had some beautiful times in the Midwest, in Lawrence, Kansas. People out in the Midwest, Kansas and Missouri, even though, we do have some KU fans on that Missouri side. Everybody in the Midwest, man, treated me and my family well.
I'm glad to hear that. It feels a little bit Floridian out here today. Today it's gotten much hotter than I'm personally comfortable with, but it's summer. So I guess being in a Midwestern summer, I should have known this day was coming.
Yes.
I have a ton of stuff that I'm excited to talk to you about. Some of it very kind of connected to some of the day-to-day news of this last sort of couple of sports weeks, and also some from your career at Kansas. And I know that you absolutely have to get asked about that game against Mizzou, where you carried the ball 58 times for 396 yards. I know you have to, again, be asked about that constantly, but I don't know how many times in my life I'll be able to ask someone who carried a football in a major game 58 times. So I figure I'll take that opportunity. Can you recount that game a little bit and how on earth you kept getting the football nearly 60 times for just under 400 yards on the ground?
In order to go back to that game, I can't just go back to that game. I got to go back to the game prior to that game. We played Nebraska at KU, home game for us, because we had 2 games of home games, Nebraska, Missouri, to end out my senior career. Well, while I'm on the sideline, Nebraska's on offense. Their running back Jones was tearing us up when it comes to yardage. I mean, He was like having his way with. So as I'm sitting on the sideline as a running back, mind you, now I was having a lot of success in my senior year. But as I'm sitting on the sideline, I'm seeing this guy carry the ball. He's rushing. I think he finished the day with like 280 some odd yards. I'm saying to myself, man, that is a running back's dream. Mind you, now I haven't played against Missouri and Kansas State and had 200-yard games, but it was something about the way that he was running through us at that time that made me say, man, that's a running back's dream. Not knowing there will be someone saying what I will do the week after that would be a running back's dream. So going into that game, it was the Friday night. Here it is. I came in with my senior class. We was a lot of guys that came in and was determined to turn KU program completely around. The class that I had, it was Coach Mason's first recruiting class. But we were not what you would call the typical Big 8 recruiting class. We were a bunch of blue-collar guys, overachieving guys that, listen, wanted to prove people wrong throughout the nation that, hey, we can play at this top level, because a lot of people thought me coming out to the Big 8, at the time, I tell people all the time now, the Big 8 was the SEC of now. What I mean by that is that the national champions were coming out of the Big 8, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Colorado. They were coming out of the Big 8. So we were the conference that everybody was chasing at that time. And I was not going up against, slouch defenses in the Big 8. They were tough. We were playing defense in the Big 8 at that time. So when people talk about the Big 12, they say, there ain't much defense. A lot of offense. We were playing defense at that time. There was a lot of defenders that were coming. And we go into this game, last game, Friday before, we have a team meeting at the hotel, and we're talking as seniors. They say all the seniors, who want to talk, stand up. I get up and I go to talk, because mind you, I had my family at there going into my junior year. I was a father, I was a student, I was an athlete, I was an ambassador to the community. So I wore a lot of hats, and as I talked about it, how my teammates and the community, embraced me with my family situation and with everything that I was dealing with, how my teammates helped me to raise my own children. Because if me and my wife wanted to go out, I could call Chris Perez, at the time, late Keith Lonaker, a host of my offensive line. Hey guys, I'm going out. Would you watch my two boys? And they were like, yeah, bring them on over. We'll have fun with them. And just thinking about how a young man from South Florida comes out to the Midwest, to Lawrence, Kansas, and embraced with so much love, it was amazing. The speech was out of sight. After that, it was set up for other seniors to speak. Coach Pat Rule at that time said, listen, we're closing this meeting on that.
Wow. That's a good speech.
Yes. No one else will speak. We're closing off the meeting on that. We're going to bed, and let's get ready to play Missouri. But we drive in, as we're driving in from Missouri, now, mind you, I'm a senior, and I'm saying, man, this is the last game. This will be the last time that I put on a uniform at the University of Kansas to play an official football. And as we got into the game, mind you, now we were running, but the game was still tight. The game was a tight game going back and forth as far as when scoring earlier. When we went into halftime, I think that's when it started setting in to people. John Jefferson was the wide receiver coach. He came up to me and said, Tony, you got 25 carries, 140-some yards. I'm like, really? So I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the carries might be that might be like a record here at KU to have that many at halftime. Oh, okay. Not even thinking about it, because Mace and Coach George, who was my high school coach, already had taught me, do not chase records, chase success. So in the game, as we started going, I think somebody must be went up to the press box and they said, and I think he's close to a record. By this time now, I'm in twos. And they'll say, I think he's close to a record. It was at 295 and they say, heck, the Big 8 record was like maybe been like 315.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, I think we're close to the Big 8 record. So they hand me the ball a couple more times. Boom, boom. We get the Big 8 record. Well, mind you, Coach Mason comes off to the sideline. He comes over to everybody, calls up, hold on, call Coach Pat Rule over. He said, listen, I think we're on to something here. Asked me, Tony, this is your last game. Do you want to go for this record? You know, I look around at my teammates and they said it before I did. Yeah, we want it. So at that time, he had told Coach Rule, listen, do not call another pass play at all. I don't want to hear a pass play. Chip Hillary will not throw another pass. We're running this. We're going. So mind you, we was considered a great toss sweep team. We started toss sweeping it, going up, boom, boom. And we was like at 3rd and 3. Coach Pat Rule calls a pass play. Mace goes nuts. If you call another pass play, you will be fired. You're fired right now. Call another pass play. Period. So we started going as we are going. We're gashing. And it's almost as if Missouri's defense is talking trash to our offense. So our offensive lineman, Chris Perez, he was one of the, outspoken offensive linemen that would talk trash. He tells some of the Missouri defense, we coming this way. So I'm just letting you know. And like, listen, bro, they already got the boxing back with 8, 9, 10 guys in the box. Let's not fuel the fire.
Don't help them.
Right now you going 8. They just say, well, they coming this way. So listen, don't even worry about it. We coming that way. We coming this way. Him and this linebacker is going back and forth. Like, okay, well, y'all listen back and forth. There are still some guys that's unaccounted for that I got to maneuver through.
That's right. He's making your job harder. He's saying, hey, so here's where Tony's going to be. You guys just get ready. He'll be coming your way in just a second. That's a bad teammate. Unhelpful.
And so as we started going, I see why he was saying what he was saying. Because he went holding people. I mean, I say, running through them, follow me. Let's go. Him and Keith Lonergan was saying, let's go, follow me, follow. They was debating with the quarterback on the side. Play was going to go to at that time in the huddle. Hey, no, toss with it to me. No, I want to let him go. So the last play of the game that really solidified that we had just set the record. I can remember it to this day. Every time I go back to KU, I go to stand in that spot. It was on the Missouri side. Toss sweep to the left. We go hit for like 7 yards. Mind you, when I hit for 7 yards, I got bumped and I was off balance. And when I landed on my knees and I just put the ball down because I knew at that point it was an NCAA record, 396 yards, not knowing how many carries. They stopped the game. They carried me off. Mind you, we still have a minute and something left to go. Mace was saying, I want to bring you out because I know the media is going to eat me up when we go on the press conference for let you run up the yards and carries. All right. Mace had never took a player into his press conference ever. But I guess he knew then it's going to be kind of hard to walk into this press conference and not take you in say you got to go into this press conference. We get in the press conference. First question comes out of the media. Why you didn't leave him in the game at 400? Mace looked at me. I look at him. I'm like, man, listen, we would have set, and mind you, I had lost 4 yards earlier in the game. So technically, I always say I was the first person to go for 400 yards. Yeah. It's just not recorded. And there's a big difference. I tell people all the time, there's a big difference when you see 400 and you see 396. Even though 396 is something remarkable, but that 400, I think when they would put that, it would have just really just blew it out the water. But I am thankful for the teammates that I had because I always say that was a team effort. From the offensive side to the defensive side, I heard guys like Gilbert Brown, Dana Stubblefield, everybody was saying, listen, we got to get the ball back. Defense, 3 and out, period. We got to go out and stop them so we can get the ball back to offense. We can continue the success that we're having to drive the football. It went so bad. Normally in certain games, I'm up and I got, 100 yards. I would come out and let some of the backs come in because they practice also. So I wanted to let our backfield know that, hey, listen, I appreciate you guys giving our defensive looks. So, yeah, you guys can go in. But this time, it was the first time I heard the running back say, no, we don't finish the game. That's what you call a class act team, class act unit guys that's what I would say, that was the biggest team accomplishment that I had ever had. And also to be able to leave out of KU as a winner.
Yeah.
6-5, solidified. We had turned corner in this thing. We had some bumps and bruises. I can remember back to my first freshman game, we played Auburn. That was the first time I had ever heard of a running clock. Never heard of one. I had never heard of one. I remember I got to play and I ran out of bounds. And the clock was still running. I said, Coach, the clock's still running. He said, yeah, I know. By that time, it was like 80-something. 80-something to like 3. He said, yeah, I know. They just going to run the clock out. It was, I mean, that game could have easily, Auburn could have scored 100 points on the thing. Easy. It was just that, crazy. From remembering where I came in at as my first game, and looking at where I left out at as my last game, I tell there's not a director in Hollywood that could have written a better script for my ending of my football career at the University of Kansas.
It's unbelievable because, I mean, all of the things you mentioned for making it a team effort, I think that's one of the reasons that the numbers explode off of the screen or off of the page or whatever. Because you say 58 carries, like that is a coaching staff that is just saying, we're going to feed Tony. We're going to hand this off until he gets these records. It's your fellow running back saying, no, go ahead. You've got this. We'll step in next year. We'll get our chance, whatever, but you run it out here. It's an offensive line that had to be taking that game extremely personally.
Yes.
And the defense is giving you the ball back. It's just, it really is. It's an individual record off the back of an incredible team effort.
Yeah, and I speak about that openly in my book. I speak about it anytime that someone asks me, what was it about the game that was so special? And I highlight all those points because without all those points in their victory, you wouldn't have 58 carries, 396. If the defense wasn't so strong on getting the ball back, if the offensive line was not so hyped on making sure that we accomplish these goals, if the coaching staff was not tuned in to say, hey, we're going to take advantage of the right or the left when it comes to the toss sweep or going up the middle. If all those things, if the fans themselves was not rooted and understand this, and the one key thing in that also that I left out, and my wife said and talked about it a lot. My wife, mind you, now they had never been in this cold of a game. My 2 children were there, so it was I think it was in the 3rd quarter. I think that's when she started seeing the change up. Because at halftime, a lot of people don't know that the game was only 20-21. Wow, that was the score, and they ended up 50 to 21 because the Missouri never scored again. Yeah. But mind you, my wife left the stadium. Now with my 2 boys, she said my boys said their feet was frozen. It was because of, as a mom, she was thinking, listen, let me get my boys out of here. I see him at the house. Mind you, on her way leaving, she was driving up the back of Fraser Hall, because that was the way we went to the house. And she heard that on the radio, because the boys listened to it on the radio, and they were saying, Tony's on the brink of setting a record. So she's saying to herself, I got to get my boys back there so they can see their father set a record. Now, mind you trying to get back in a stadium. Yes. Lawrence PD is told not to let no one back in. Everybody can leave out. She gets to the entrance of the stadium on the west side. The east side. I'm sorry, the east side. And she says, hey, listen, my husband, Tony Sands, on the setting record, please take us in to get us in so that way my boys can see this take place. She says they escorted in and put her right in by that end zone so that my boys could see it, and to see that my boys was able to see me also set that record was unbelievable. She said she couldn't, if she had to get out and leave the truck right there at the entrance and jog them in there, she was going to make sure that they get an opportunity to see that. Brother called me out. It was over at that time. It was all over ESPN. I had some people that was all overseas in the military. My brother called me and said, "Hey man, this guy named it's Sands guy set a record. That's you." I said, "Bro, that was me." Brother said, he said, "Man, that's all over ESPN." But because mind you, I hadn't came out the locker room. It was late when I got out of the locker room because there were people before the game was over. KU had started selling shirts with the record on it, with a picture of me and the record on it. So I'm looking like, wow. Before I leave, when I leave out, I see a long line of people in line getting souvenir of the shirt. Like,
Unbelievable.
wow. This is what this does. And that night we was playing a basketball game at KU. So they had asked me would I want to come to half court of a basketball. Now, mind you, you're talking about KU basketball, and to be honored at the halftime of KU basketball was unbelievable. People had always, they always say, "Man, how was it?" I know you had to be sore. I wasn't sore after the game because of the adrenaline. It set in on me at halftime of the basketball. And I walked out to the middle of the basketball.
Yeah.
Mind you, I went out to the middle of the basketball court. I still have a picture of it. I'm waving at everybody. I'm waving at the fans. And all of a sudden, they said, "Okay, people can walk off." I said, "All right, can't walk off." They said, "Why?" I said, "My legs are cramping up. I can't move." So mind you, they had to bring the doctors out to the court. And, they take me off. I'm like, "Oh man, how do I walk out to a crowd like that wave and I can't move?" And I guess at that point, everybody had understood that, hey, listen, here 58 times in one game and not come out and just work like a workhorse. We will accept that your legs cramped up. So they took me in the locker room, boys' locker room, and I came back out to finish watching the game, so basketball game. And it was, like I said, I tell people, and writing the book to even go back, I was before my time. To write that book and to be able to relive those actual moments in my life was unbelievable. Talk about some of the friends that I still talk to this day, and just have the relationship that I have with everybody, still with Coach Mason. As a matter of fact, Coach Pat Rule is writing a book, and he spoke with me because he wanted some that he wanted to put in there. So to see, man, that how everybody's doing and just be enjoying the success that I had has been great. But like I say, I tell people, it wasn't all great at every moment.
Right.
Career get to this. There was some dark moments in my life, but I was able to overcome those dark moments, and being in my process of overcoming dark days is what I call them. Days of thinking about taking my life was not ending it the way I wanted to. What I mean by that is not really reaching that pinnacle of where I felt my NFL career should have gone. Took a toll on me and took me to some dark turns in my life, and not wanting to live was critical for me. Being able to come out of that and continue to be able to now inspire others through my book, because I speak about it openly on steps that I went through. What was it that I wanted to do when it came to suicide? I speak about that openly in the book. And being able to sit here with you today and speak about it openly on the success. Some people will say, "But you had so much success." It is not the success sometimes that knocks someone. It is the disappointment. It is someone telling you that you can't do something anymore. But physically, I'm still able to do it. Why am I not able to do it? And to go through those dark holes, but be able to self-counsel yourself. Because at that time, I didn't know what mental health was. The word mental health didn't exist.
Yeah.
Two words exist. Either, people told you either he's crazy or he's out of his mind. Those were the only two things. And as a person, you never wanted those labels on you. So you held so many things in within you that you did not openly express to other people what you were going through, not knowing that someone else was going through the same thing. Like I said, because I see it so openly now. I have guys that I've trained, guys that have been on my own radio show that have committed suicide. One probably real popular young man that getting ready to go to Georgia Tech on a recruiting scholarship here in South Florida. And within 48 hours of him getting ready to go on his scholarship, walked himself out in front of a train and committed suicide. So to be able to, see how this is really panning out, and glad that someone has put a title on what people are going through, has made it even more open to where people can talk about it. It's not a stigma on it. Yeah. When I was coming up, also, a man that spoke out about that he had problems, people considered you a weak man. And no one wanted to be looked at as a weak man. I know, especially in the communities that I grew up in, they were rough. So being a weak person, a weak man was not looked good. So now I tell people all the time, listen, the number one thing that you can do for yourself is first to say it's okay to get help, and it's okay not to know, not to have it all together. Those are beautiful words, because at that point you have accepted that I gotta get help, that I need someone to guide me back on the right direction. So, my life, I tell people all the time, a man is measured by distance traveled, and I have traveled a long journey to even get to where now I have the pleasure of speaking to women on a daily basis. You got to figure we're here in South Florida, to where we was the place with Stoneman Douglas is where the school mass shooting here in Florida took place, and I get a chance to see some of those kids on a daily basis, because they're athletes that are going off to college, athletes that I train every day at the high school level. As a matter of fact, one of my young ladies, Lauren, she's going to the University of Louisville on a lacrosse scholarship, and she was that first freshman class of Stoneman Douglas. Wow. So, you get a chance to, I listen, hear her, and we talk about how she was able to overcome that whole stigma. Just to hearing how the similarities are so similar in this thing, what some of the things you have to do to come out and maintain mental health.
Well, I got to be honest. You've answered pretty much all the questions I thought I would get to. You've answered them just in prose,
Yes.
So I guess the one thing that I kind of wanted to get based on current events and everything from conversations. I think Kevin Love was one of the first sort of big name current athletes that put voice to some mental health struggles recently, and then obviously Naomi Osaka brought it kind of back up again. And I don't know any of the intricacies of their situations, obviously, and I don't know all of the details of yours. But I am hopeful, I guess, that maybe you are heartened, or what it is that you see with these mental health conversations, when you can put a label on it that's not crazy or psycho or whatever, that where we're having more healthy conversations. I imagine that it's covered quite a bit of ground over the last, maybe even the last 5 years, certainly 10 or 20.
Oh yeah, of course. The ground of it now, the acceptance of it, people are more open to it. They're seeing that a lot of people are going through things. People sometimes tend to forget, just because you're an athlete, you still have a human side to you. You was a human before you was an athlete. And they feel like we are such these big brute athletes. We have it all together. No, we don't have it all together, because there's still a human person behind what you're seeing, whether it's on the court, whether it's on the tennis court, whether it's on the football field, whether it's on the track field, wherever it's at, there is a human person that has had past trauma, but there's no one that is exempt from life's struggle. It's just now that we were able to put the word mental health on it, that it has become an acceptable thing to open up about. And listen, I am so excited that a lot of the athletes now are opening up and saying, hey, yeah, I'm struggling with something. And Naomi came out with it. She said, I'm backing out of the tennis tournament because I'm going through something. Back some odd probably 5 years ago now, that would have been done. Someone would have, she would have said that, she would have been castrated.
Yeah.
Should have been castrated. But now that everybody's understanding that people go through things, let's not leave them in those things. Let's help them get out those things so they continue. Everything that they were trying to continue in, let's let them continue in that. We got to be able to open up our hearts in America to understand and to see a lot of the things that goes on in people's lives is real. It's not masked because they're athletes. Let's not cover that up. They're still human. They still have a heart. They still have a mind. They still go through trauma. Everything that comes with about being a human being on this. Everyone deals. Everyone has had some type of trauma. Trauma might not be at the level of other people. You dealt with something in your background that has helped trauma, and sometimes it gets triggered by just the slightest of things. My trigger was hearing that I could not continue something that I've been doing since I was 5 years old. And then it was the rejection. Not only the rejection, but my self-esteem was shot at that. Despite everything that I have done, I had never heard that word, hey, listen, we can't use it. You're not good at it. I mean, I'm not good at it. Here I am, a guy of the Big 8 Player of the Year. I rushed for all these yards. You're telling me I'm not good enough. Now, when I look back at it, I don't listen and hear the word I was not good enough. I didn't meet someone's expectation of what they thought was good. I was good enough. It's just their expectations of what they wanted at that time. It was hard for them to accept taking someone of my stature. And that's why even with the book, I wrote the book, I was before my time. Dealing with trauma, dealing with everything that I've dealt with. I was before my time. If I had someone like myself that was able to navigate through that, those dark days, man, it would have been great. So I'm making sure that I do not leave that on the table with any young man or young lady that I come across. Listen, we talk, even though I'm a coach and I train kids every day, I make sure that I leave them with some life lessons and I tell them everything. Listen, you may not be able to go to your mom, you may not be able to your dad, but listen, there's someone that you can open up to. Feel free that everybody's not going to judge you. They're going to want to help you. So don't hold it in. It's okay to say that you don't know. It's okay to say that I need some help because we all need help at some point in something that we do. Do not take that for granted. If you're seeing someone going through something, let's don't say we wait sometime too late to say, oh, I saw that. Oh, I saw that. Yeah, you saw it, but what were you willing to do to make sure that you help that person? You might not help, but you can call somebody else that knew how to help. Let's make sure we hear that so often in America. You know, I did see him going through, I did feel something, but you didn't act, you don't act. So we got to start acting. We got to stop sitting on the sideline. And we got to help each other as human beings to understand that everyone in this world needs someone to get through or navigate.
I'll let you go on that, Ty. That's great. I love it. I love it. I could, for time constraints, I gotta let you go. If I didn't, I could sit here for the rest of time, maybe the rest of the week at least, and talk to you. So I'll tell people again. The book is called "I Was Before My Time." It's on Amazon. You can Google it. You can look for it wherever you get your books. But "I Was Before My Time" by Tony Sands. You can also go to getsensational.com, which is an incredible URL. It's exactly like it sounds like. Getsensational.com. Tony Sands, thank you so much for making this time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's go Rock Chalk Jayhawk KU.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. Just search for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
He can break every bone in his body, and I'll be happy as long as it's not the back.
Cut that, Beards. Cut him saying Michael Porter Jr. could break every bone in his body and he'd be happy, and then just don't include the last part.
But the context.
Oh, context, please.
Yeah.
With Joshua Brisco.
He can break every bone in his body, and I'll be happy.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right. First of all, thanks again to Tony Sands for giving us all the time that he did whenever I had a chance to talk to him earlier. And thanks, Chaotic Warrior, for the compliment of the interview. What an interview, Chaotic Warrior said on Twitch. Bunch of clapping emojis. Here's the thing. I'm not sure I've ever worked less hard for an interview to turn out as well as I thought that one did. I asked that man like 3 questions, and he he was the host of that segment, and I was happy to relinquish that to him. I had a great time talking to him, and you should buy his book because I haven't read it yet, to be honest, but I bet it's going to be excellent. And I'm hoping that I think he's going to hopefully be in town in the area before too long, and I'm hoping we're going to talk to him again. Hopefully over maybe a slightly better connection or maybe even in person because the Zoom wasn't perfect, but I thought it was worth it because it was just an absolute blast. Also a blast. I have enjoyed. I'm not going to try to thread the needle on this one. I talked to Tony yesterday, and we just played it back for you for the first time. But in that time, while the interview was playing, got to watch a little bit of this basketball game. And Rudy, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's currently about 3.5 minutes left. I see a bunch of backups. Javon Carter was out there. I literally can't tell who just dribbled into the lane just now. The Suns are up 111-87 here in Game 2.
Yeah.
The color has drained from Rudy's face. Beard, that's so rude.
I haven't watched a team that I just root for win a game in 5 days.
Somebody has asked me to ask you if Jokic has ever competently defended a ball screen.
I'm sure there's a time.
How do you feel about this nickname for Jokic? Beards, I'd also like to know how you feel about this nickname for Jokic.
Okay.
How do you feel about Dollar Store Dirk?
I mean, I've frequently said his moves. I've literally called most of his signature moves the lazy Dirk.
Lazy Dirk is pretty funny.
And I don't mean obviously Jokic isn't lazy.
Chubby Dirk?
But everything he does, Dirk wasn't the most explosive athlete.
Right.
Thick Dirk.
But everything
Dirk.
Jokic does is at half the speed as which Dirk did it.
JaVale McGee has checked into the game.
He did a while ago, Beards.
I have a suggestion. I have a new nickname for Jokic. You ready?
But no Bull. Everybody on the roster has played, but Bull freaking Bull. Why? What are we doing here? We're letting Paul Millsap, who should have been forced to retire years ago, get 12 minutes.
He's not bitter.
I mean, he was 4 for 8 tonight, weirdly enough, so it's one of his better days.
Dirk Nowitzki.
It's not bad.
It's not bad, right? I would like a jersey to just say Nowitzki.
The Nuggets are 13 for 39 from 3.
I think they're about to be 13 from 40. No, maybe.
And the problem is, again, is just the fact that so many of them were contested.
As I saw on Twitter somewhere else previously,
Porter Jr. has a minus 26.
Oh!
Obviously, everybody on the team for the most part has a minus, except for, weirdly enough, Vlatko Kankar has a plus 9.
Who?
Vlatko Kankar, Beards,
I know that name. I don't know
Nuggets
why.
legend, because I've talked about him many times because he's funny. He's plus 11.
Don't turn around, Rudy.
The Nuggets need to play Zeke Naji and Vlatko Kankar more, because apparently the Nuggets in those 3 minutes are plus 11.
I think Frank the Tank just shot a 3 in your face.
Well, they're on a 11-3 run.
JaVale
on the
McGee for
Suns
3, and he missed it.
Since Vlatko came in. So maybe they need to start Vlatko.
If you haven't seen the GIF yet, there is
Not
a
Michael
GIF.
Porter Jr., because he's bad. Not his back is bad, he's bad. The back is bad, but he is also bad. I miss Jamal Murray.
Beards, I don't want to tell you how to do your job. You've done a pretty good job today.
Thank you.
But I think you might want that one for the archives.
I know.
You hadn't marked it yet. I just wanted to make
I know, I
100%.
was
I
getting
just
there.
want to make 100% sure.
I was getting there.
I just want to make 100% sure.
I miss Jamal Murray, man.
Javon Carter right now is about, he wants it so bad.
I wish the Nuggets had Javon Carter.
Oh, he just made the shot, so yeah, probably.
a
Oh,
lot
Michael Porter
better than
Jr. looks so sad on that bench.
Facu
He
Campazzo.
does, man. His hair looks good, though.
Yeah, he's got good hair. He's a stylish young man.
It's grown out a little bit.
Yeah.
Got one of those curls just sort of falling delicately over the crest of his forehead.
He eats meat now. He loves bacon. He never had bacon before until he was, no joke, his second year with the Nuggets, and never had bacon in his life. But he would go and get breakfast with Trey Lyles every day at a place that has vegan stuff that he loves. So he would just go, and Trey Lyles would always get bacon. He would always get vegan stuff. And he was just the smell, he said, eventually just overtook him. And he was like, dude, you got to let me try this.
Another 3 for the Suns. Who is number 55?
For who?
The Suns. I don't think I've seen him play minutes. This is they're seriously in legit blowout moves
Alex
right now.
Lynn?
No, it's not.
Is it the Dragon Bender?
No, it's also
Is it
not.
the last Dragon Bender? The first and also the last
only Dragon Bender.
Coming soon to Netflix. The only Dragon Bender.
Maybe I'm misseeing it because it's Etwan Moore. My apologies to Etwan Moore.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was number 55.
He was a -6 in the game, by the way. Scrub.
I get a little chippy. That was a hard offensive foul.
You know,
going back the other way.
You know who leads the Suns in plus-minus? Future MVP Mikal freaking Bridges.
Langston Galloway just took a charge.
Give that man.
Langston Galloway's a son?
I would. Langston Galloway beat K-State. He was on. Oh, what team was it? He was on the first team that won a game in the first four. They beat K-State.
I don't know why this is the case.
Oh, what was the team?
I can't really tell what the logic is.
Shut up, Siri.
But the first player on the Suns roster online is Tyshawn Alexander. He's number 0, but then it's like Ayton is next. He's number 22, and then it's Booker, and then it's Bridges, and then it's Javon Carter.
Langston Galloway played for St. Joseph's.
That's right.
You okay there, Rudy?
Nope.
Faku just airballed a 3.
Ooh.
The fact that Faku's still in the game says a lot.
That's actually true. There's not a lot of depth right now on that roster.
Nope.
He's out here getting some work. He's getting some meaningful playoff minutes.
Well, he needs some more because he's 1 for bleeping 7. The Nuggets starting point guard went 1 for 7 from the floor, 1 for 5 from 3, 4 rebounds,
Dribbling
2
it out,
assists,
baby.
1 steal,
123 to 98.
Worldwide Wob just tweeted, if I'm a Blazers fan, this is just making me feel worse.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, their defense is not very good.
No.
Oh, Suns blow. There's a graphic. Listen to this. Listen to this part of my life right now. On the screen on TNT, there is a graphic that says Suns blowouts, and it's games that they have won in the playoffs this year. I don't even know. I don't know what to do with my hands. Like a little fidget toy.
We'll keep him above the counter. At least till you get home.
Let's take a break.
Take the show with you wherever you go. Listen live on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app and 810WHB.com.
A reading from the...
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
When you show up to do the duty that the duty not that you wanted, but that this
Say
country,
duty one more time.
duty that this country thrust on you to take a picture of Anthony Sherman's butt, you gotta wear the shirt.
With Joshua Brisco.
The fact that the payoff of duty thrust was Anthony Sherman's butt felt a little like you had maybe telegraphed your shot there. I was confused the whole way through.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I didn't tell Rudy what this was until he came back, because I just wanted to get. Well, you know what's beer? I think we've established a couple sort of catchphrases by accident in this show.
Duty?
There's duty.
Man, Michael Porter Jr. sucks.
There's duty, and then
Fake MVP Jokic.
if
Wow.
Beards doesn't like something very much, but it doesn't hate it, it's simply fine. And whenever somebody says something about the Denver Nuggets, or particularly Nikola Jokic, that Rudy doesn't agree with, or maybe something about what's his name from Kentucky to UCLA, and then Kentucky basketball, Kentucky being a football school, anything disparaging.
Johnny Juzang, baby.
What happens when there's something disparaging?
Kentucky legend.
What
Hardly knew ye.
No, that's not it.
No, it's not. Hardly knew ye. It's not. But maybe it should be. Can you
We
say?
are a football school, though.
I don't believe it.
That's a fact.
Nah, football school. Football team stinks. They're
The
terrible.
win-loss
Everything
record
is bad.
would.
Can you just say the phrase "the disrespect"?
Bleeping disrespect.
So this is from Kellen Olson on Twitter. Covers the Suns.
Oh God.
Says low key the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen. This was with 421. Oh, look at that. Oh,
Nice.
taking clock.
Blaze
420. Blaze it, dude.
Blaze it,
With
baby.
4:20 left on the clock
Yeah.
in a playoff game,
Yeah.
the Phoenix Suns arena was doing the wave. Do you know what happened after that? A chant started. Do you know what the chant was?
I don't want to know.
You guys want to each guess? I don't think you're going to guess, but I think it'll be funny to hear whatever you
Point
guess.
God, point God, point God.
Beards, got a guess? The chant that broke out in the arena.
I was trying to think of something funny, but nothing came to mind.
Do
Can
the
you do it
truffle
as
dance.
a-
Do
do
the
it as
truffle
a-
dance.
as a
Do
chant?
the truffle
Nothing
dance.
came to mind.
Suns in 4.
Jesus. I mean, yeah, probably.
And then shortly thereafter is a third disrespectful thing, which is a group of people who are at the game taking a group photo while that game is still being played with 45 seconds still on the clock. They're taking pictures in front of in-game action.
Now I know what would have been funny to say. We wanted Portland.
I don't think they did, though, because Portland might have won a game.
Suns.
It was a.
I know, Beards.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
Suns in 4. 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 Ah!
When's game 4?
Sunday?
Sunday.
Sunday. I was going to say, so we don't have a show, but I guess on Monday when we do, you just come in with your broom.
Oh, if that happens, then I will
About to
do
be
that.
a sweep.
There's a pretty good picture I tweeted out, just a caption, just enjoying the basketball game with my friend Rudy. And you can see that on Twitter, and that's pretty funny. No AES tomorrow or Friday. Rudy just punched himself in the face with his microphone. The show is back on Monday. At that point, holy bleep, could the series be over?
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen. Yes, I do. We'll talk to you then. Bye, Mom!
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.